Hey, I'm Cyan LeBlanc, and this is my first video. Papercuts is going to be a weekly section on my website at cyanleblanc.com, which is hosted on Substack. Each episode is going to talk about books, focus on reviews, book hauls, what I'm currently reading, some industry talk. Hopefully in the future, I'll be able to get some authors on the website and discuss their books, what they're releasing, what they're working on. Love to have some authors on here as I get more comfortable. This is my first episode, so I'm a little new at this and a little intimidated, but we'll get there. Well, I spent the last couple days posting various reviews that I've written in the past on my website. Going forward, I want to narrow that focus, dedicate my reading time to supporting women authors in horror. That horror community has some really great female voices, and that is kind of where I want to dedicate my focus. Recently, one of my friends and fellow horror authors, Elizabeth Broadbent, has been actively promoting and bringing awareness to the underrepresentation of the female voices in the horror community. This is what drove me to want to do a weekly show even more. I've always kind of wanted to do a podcast, but my wife said, no, don't do that. Now that I have a focus, now that I have something that I really do believe in, this is a great way for me to express my love for the genre as well as support the women authors that exist right now. Horror in the past has pretty much been dominated by the males for so long. We've had some great, early pioneers like Mary Shelley and Shirley Jackson, but there still is this lack of representation out there and support and respect that these women authors just don't get, especially right now in the climate that we're in. I think that, at these cons and at these author signings, the men's just kind of overpower the women and, talk over them, don't let them have an opinions. Yes, they can be there, but, they're always going to have that last word. And while it's sad, this is just a reality, and the more and more people who are highlighting these voices, the more respect that these women authors will get. So I really want to focus this podcast and going forward to the women authors who write horror, and not just the gothic prose, not just the hauntings, but all of the subgenres in horror, like those dirty girls who like to write extreme horror and splatterpunk. We want to read them. I love that kind of book. I don't have triggers, so I definitely want to explore those authors even more, as well as share them and my likes and my dislikes too. On today's book talk, I thought, since Elizabeth Broadbent has really been the driving force to the support of this cause, I thought we'd start there with the first book that I've read, the first horror book that I read by a female author, and that actually is Elizabeth Broadbent's Inkvine, released in 2024 by Undertaker Books. Inkvine is a Southern Gothic novella about a girl named Emmy, who's been told all her life to stay out of the swamps. There's nothing good out there. You don't need to be there. Just stay the hell out. Well, as her life spirals, there's lots of drama. She doesn't feel comfortable in her own skin. She doesn't feel good in the community. She doesn't feel like she's a part of this. Well, this is where she finds solace in the dangers of the swamp. So part eco-horror as well as gothic. Elizabeth Broadbent describes Emmy's environment with such detail, it makes the swamp actually a character itself. And that's where we meet Zara, who is a woman who is more swamp than woman. And when I say the author creates the swamp as a character, it kind of reminds me of the book Rebecca, the movie Rebecca, where the house is a character itself. And that's what I love about the Gothic elements that Elizabeth here has portrayed and done such a great job with it. The swamp is a character. You fall in love with it or you hate it, but the way that she describes it, you just fall in love with the swamp. And this is where the sapphic elements come into play. The beauty of Gothic is the romance between the main character and the environment. This time again, the swamp. And with all romances, the love envelops you. And this is how the author treated the Gothicness of this story, is that the swamp is enveloping you as well as it enveloping Emmy. Elizabeth writes with such art form that I can feel the swamp just kind of wrapping up around me like a little cocoon and dragging me in there. It's such great writing. The story really just kind of takes you with them, and I really highly recommend you reading the book just for that reason alone. The writing is superb. Now, while the character's sexual identity is stated as bisexual, I really don't think it comes into play. I know a lot of sapphic readers may shy away from bisexual characters because they don't want penises all up in their business when they're reading books. Trust me, I've heard this conversation. But this book, don't worry about that. This book explores the lesbian relationships between the characters, and that's its core. There's not much, male persuasion taking away from the sapphic goodness of this book. I also know that many sapphic readers might shy away from horror, but I tend to think of Gothic horror more as a romance, and therefore it's right up your alley. There's no gore, there's no slashers, there's no blood and guts everywhere. This is that dark romance that is such prevalence in the Gothic world. Like I said, think Rebecca. It's a great romantic story underneath the horror aspects. Elizabeth Broadbent's Inkvine was the first book ever to be signed at Undertaker Books. It was released in ebook as well as paperback. And we also did a special edition hardcover, which is the only hardcover we have at Undertaker Books. Also recently, the author and press released an updated version called Inkvine and Other Swamp Stories. This includes some additional related short stories that have to do with the same place, the same swampy goodness that you find in Inkvine. So both of the editions are available at Undertaker Books as well as Amazon and other retailers. Well, that's it for my first episode of Papercuts. I really hope that you enjoyed this video. Like I said, I apologize for being new. This is my first one. I mean, I don't even have art on the walls. So please bear with me. I will get art so it'll look like a library or something that is more, more me. But I hope to bring more interviews. We're going to try to come back every Wednesday, I think, for a longer review. I might do some short reviews on TikTok and Instagram, just some kind of reels, as I get more involved into the process of bringing Papercuts to life. I just finished reading Manhunt by Gretchen Felker Martin, and I hope to be able to review this on our next podcast. So I look forward to continuing to talk about horror books. Thanks for tuning in, and hope to see you next time. Thanks. I just